Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of geek-span. I'm your host, Wes, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Skip and Tosh. How you doing, buddy?
Wes, I'm a little down. The Discord knows I'm a little sick, but when life gives you lemons, you gotta deal with it.
Just gotta wear shades, man.
You pretty much gotta wear shades when you don't feel good, and it cures everything. How are you, Wes?
I'm doing great. I hope everyone's ready for their Geek Culture 411. We got some Star Wars news. We've got some box office news. We got some comic book flavor in here. You ready for the first question?
Let's do it.
All right. Charlie's Angels bombed last weekend, taking in only $27 million worldwide on a reported $50 million budget. Writer-director Elizabeth Banks had this to say: "If this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women who do action movies." Says Banks, "Audience members will go and see a comic movie with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel because that's a male genre." Skip, does Banks have a point here, or is she? Or are there other reasons behind Charlie's Angels' box office failure?
She doesn't have a point, and I hate to say this because I really liked Elizabeth, and not that I don't like her now, but this is just a really ignorant comment, especially if you go and look down the statistical breakdown of male and female viewers for Marvel movies as far as attendance goes. You would see that the numbers are a lot closer to 50-50 than a lot of people would think. Not only that, but she wouldn't want to do a franchise that was known for being terrible, because those other Charlie's Angels movies, say what you want about them, whoever likes them or didn't like them, but they made more money than the one that she did here. If they weren't successful, she wouldn't even try to reinvigorate the franchise to begin with. Not only that, but you have plenty of female lead, even what you call it, because Luc Besson, who did La Femme Nikita, had done Lucy with Scarlett Johansson not that long ago. Yeah, so it's ignorant. Now, if she didn't say it right and she meant to see that were also written and directed and produced by women, then maybe she could start to have a little bit more of a point.
Catherine Bigelow, man.
Thank you, Catherine Bigelow too, man. So, and what made it even worse is I despise the fact that she, speaking of Catherine Bigelow, but I guess we'll flip it around to Patty Jenkins. Why would you drag down another female director who directed Wonder Woman, and it was a fantastic movie? That's how much of a reach it is. She's dissing other female creators just to make herself look good and to make a terrible point. So Elizabeth Banks, again, for the most part, I really enjoy her. But this was just a very, very, very ignorant comment that she made out of spite, because she doesn't like the fact that she got three actresses that nobody's really rocking with and reinvigorated a franchise that, again, made money, and which is why she was attracted to it. And maybe she was attracted to it for the OG TV series, but ultimately it didn't bring her the success that she thought. So now she's trying to drag everybody down with her. Wes, what's your take on her comment?
Well, she's not just the writer, and she's the writer, the director. She's the producer. This is her baby. It's her failure, and she's trying to pass the buck like it's the audience's fault. No one made you make a stupid looking movie and release terrible trailers with a bunch of actresses nobody wanted to watch. Like, who is the one name action star in the movie? Who's Patrick?
The dude who played Professor X, Richard, whatever his name is.
It's like he couldn't even walk in his action movie franchise. Like, come on. You look at the first Charlie's Angels movie, it was campy and everything, but they actually had stars in that movie. She had Kristen Stewart.
That's her biggest name.
No one liked Twilight. Stewart. That movie sucked. There was no action in those.
No, it was
Robert Pattinson hates Twilight. No one hates that movie more than him. She did terrible casting. She got the wrong group of actors for the film. They did really bad trailers. It didn't look fun, and nobody went to see it because of that. It had nothing to do with that it was a female-led action movie or that she directed it. It had everything to do with what people saw in the teaser and the trailers, and it wasn't worth their time. Try again.
Exactly. And here's the thing that's harmful to it, because she's talking about stereotypes being reinforced.
Patrick Stewart.
Oh, right. She's talking about stereotypes being reinforced While when you start to say things like this, you perpetuate things that aren't even realistic and aren't even there, or for things that are really there that do deserve the spotlight, you're taking them away to basically to be selfish because you're salty about the lack of success for a movie that nobody asked for with people that no one wants to go see. Simple as that, man. Anywho, I think that puts a bow on that thing. So yeah, like Wes said, try again. But sure enough, moving on to the next topic, recent X-Men title, Fallen Angels, is absent from Marvel's February solicitations. Writer Brian Edward Hill explained, quote, due to some film TV things I have in motion, that's my main career. I have to grow it. I had to take a break after the first arc, but there are plans to continue the story in a very cool way. So Wes, are you worried about the future of Fallen Angels at all?
Well, I'm not worried that it won't come back. You know, Brian Hill's a man of his word. I have no reason not to believe that. He absolutely is a screenwriter first. You know, he's talked about it many times. That's what he went to college for. That's his vocation. That's his first love. He wants to be a screenwriter. He writes lots of television. You know, apparently he's got a movie project coming up. So that part doesn't worry me at all. You know, congratulations. I'm very happy for Brian Edward Hill, and I hope it's a big movie and he goes on to bigger and better things in Hollywood. The only thing that worries me is that Fallen Angels, out of all the Dawn of X titles, probably got the least bit of pub. You know, they weren't really hyping it very much, you know, as far as Marvel's part, as far as marketing goes. And I would hate to see this comic, you know, fall through the cracks because it went on hiatus for, you know, 3 or 4 months. And when it came back, people had forgotten what a great story it was or forgot that he was even tied into X-Men. You know, it doesn't have X in the title. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. But as far as will it come back, I have no doubts that Brian Hill will bring Fallen Angels back. It has another great story arc for people to read.
Absolutely. Someone had mentioned it in our Discord, or maybe even in our comments, because I thought it came up in one of those two places. But I will be honest as well. Like thinking about it, someone had mentioned like, hey, this seemed more like kind of a one story arc type of story anyhow. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of seeing that. It kind of does. And I don't even mean that in a negative way, because obviously, like you, Wes, give me more Brian Edward Hill and what he's doing with this book. I'll take it. But you know, I even responded to him on Twitter. I said, you know, I'm not sad to hear about the news because of the reason why it's going to take a break. You know, you get to go further into what your true passion is, and not that comics aren't your true passion, but what your ultimate goal is, which is to, you know, write, you know, ultimately go over to the directing side, as he stated, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind producing and everything. Brian Hill wants to be successful in that industry, and we have, you know, no lack of people that don't respect the art form enough, but want to get over to that side, like your Brian Michael Bendis's and like your Tom King's, aka Ting, because that's my nickname for him. What's up, Ting? So, you know, for him to actually respect the art form, always come in and do the proper research, not have a big head about it, not think that he's above criticism, put quality stories out, and then while he's also doing that, also already be working in the other field, he just properly stewarded both sides. And that's what I personally want to promote. That's what I want to see do better. So, you know what, like I said, I would love more Brian Edward Hill stuff, and I have a feeling that we will get more of it. But if that means a little less comics and a little more on the silver screen or on my iPhone screen, you know what, congratulations to Brian Edward Hill, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Well said.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, along those lines, let's stick with the silver screen and whatnot. In a recent interview with Rolling Stones, Lucasfilm said the following about the Star Wars movies, and Lucasfilm, meaning the head of Lucasfilms, Kathleen Kennedy. Every one of these movies is a particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what that next iteration might be. Is Kathleen Kennedy trolling the Star Wars fans about the expanded universe, or is she truly unaware that 40 years of source material exists? Wes, your take.
I'm dumbfounded. I don't know. I think she's messing with me, man. It's like, one of the key complaints of Star Wars fans since it got announced are like, why are you creating all these original characters? You have 40 years of history. You want a strong female character? Mara Jade's just waiting there to be explored. Oh, you want the new great villain? Thrawn's been sitting there the whole time. Oh, you need the next Han Solo. Dash Rinder is just waiting for something. And you know what's crazy? You know, obviously this is her like making excuses of why Kevin Feige and the MCU is so successful because they have all the comic books. Well, they don't really have books. Star Wars has novels upon novels. You know, Marvel does have some, but Star Wars has something that Marvel doesn't even wishes they had. They have video games with their own unique story arcs that people are in love with. Where's my Knights of the Old Republic, trilogy? Where's the Knights of the Old Republic TV show? What do you mean there's no source material for you to work with? There's more source material than you could ever get to in Star Wars, and most of it's great. Oh my God.
Wes, I got an answer for you. Kathleen Kennedy wants to know, or you want to know, or she really wants to know, where's all her source material? It's in the trash can that you threw it in right after George Lucas. The ink wasn't even dry on the contract after he signed it over. And the first damn thing you want to do is throw away all the continuity that all of those different writers and stuff like that had. Like you said, like we got video games that are beloved. We got novels that are beloved. We got comic books from Dark Horse. Now, here's even the worst thing, Wes. Let's make it even worse, okay? So I just mentioned all those things. Dark Horse comics, you mentioned the video games. We're talking about the novels, all of that. But then you have a whole sector owned by the mouse under Marvel, churning out and creating fantastic stories, new stories, going back and doing stories in between, like fam, Kathleen, Kathy, Kate, Kay. What the hell are you talking about? Oh my! Hey, she got to be trolling, dog. She must have been hanging out with Ryan Johnson, aka Rian, and being like, "What else can we do to troll the fans before my contract is up? Let's act like we don't have anything to go off of, and we just have to go into a room and Bob Iger's like, you better churn out another $1 billion Star Wars movie," and she's just like, "Okay, hey guys, we got to churn out $1 billion Star Wars movie. Everybody, dig in your couch cushions in your pockets for Star Wars lint because we got to stitch it together and we got to come up with something great." If she don't get the hell out of here, oh my gosh, Kathleen Kennedy, shave your head and go to bed, in the immortal words of Christian Harloff.
I'm still dumbfounded. I don't understand. Like, someone had to be there and be like, this is really stupid. Like, are you sure you want to put this on the record? Like, I know I want to print this because I'm with Rolling Stone and people are going to want to read this on the internet. We're going to get so many clicks. But you got a lot of source material, dude. like, come on, man. She has to know. Like, they not just have like a room full of Star Wars brainiacs and nerds that just talk about you want to do this? There's 3 novels. There's a trilogy back in 1984 that it expands exactly on what you're trying to talk about. There's 3 characters.
Wes, there's people that know, but you know what? I'm starting to get the idea that Kathleen Kennedy walls herself off from certain people like Dave Filoni and other people like that. Pablo Hidalgo has been known to be a yes man, so he just probably saying, or yes, ma'am. So he probably just saying, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am to Kathleen Kennedy and all her zany ideas and all of her ignorance. While you got Dave Filoni, who literally was raised, in the industry by George Lucas and knows all this Star Wars lore that none of us may ever know. You know what I mean? And it takes Jon Favreau to come in to truly utilize a resource like Dave Filoni. But let's make it even worse, Wes. Let's make it even worse. I'm going to make it even worse, Wes. Check this out. Here's the worst part about it. Even her character, Rey, is based off of the treatment that George Lucas gave to them. That's what makes it even worse. It's based off of, what's her name, Kira, who they ultimately took and then ended up making a bastardized character of her in the Solo movie. So,
the whole expanded universe was essentially signed off by George Lucas himself. He's literally put 40 years of source material for you and handed it to you when he sold you the company. What more do you want the guy to do?
And she pissed on it and lit it on fire like Joker, and then looked at him and said, "Everything burns." Kathleen, Kathleen, thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for being a fantastic female producer and all of the success that you've done, all of the job opportunities and everything you've opened up for men and women, all that. Thank you for that. Go home, go to bed, go home and go to bed.
And Steven Spielberg, I blame you for all of this.
Yeah, I'm Steve, you get the portion. You go home and go to bed too.
All right. Next topic. Marvel Studios recently announced their 2022 and 2023 film slates. There are plenty of holes to fill still, Skip. What's the one Marvel film you want to see on one of those open slots?
That's easy. It's Fantastic Four. No questions asked. No questions asked. I mean, and I believe I know it's coming. And there is a really good video. Shout out to Grace Randolph. There's a really good video where she had an inside source that didn't leak all of that to her, but she did some really good, deduction, if you will, or deducing, whatever the whatever the proper nomenclature is for the context of what I'm trying to say, because words are a thing. But yeah, like we already got that. But for me, it's Fantastic Four easily for multiple reasons. One, they are the first family of Marvel. They are the foundation. They are the four corners of Marvel. They need to be in there, and they will. Number two is also because of the infrastructure that Jonathan Hickman has already laid out. Of course, Jonathan Hickman, I'll say it again, being my favorite writer currently. He what he did with Infinity, which Wes, I know you're going through some of the things that tied into Infinity and Infinity and whatnot. All of his new Avengers and all of that stuff, or Secret Avengers. Actually, are you going through Secret Avengers?
Well, Infinity includes Avengers and Secret Avengers and Infinity, but I did read some of the Secret Avengers. I'm into the Illuminati right now.
Oh, okay. Which, you know what? I thought that was what's his name that did that. I thought Hickman created that. That's actually a Brian Michael Bendis invention. So hey, Bendis.
Yeah, he storylined it, and I think Hickman scripted it.
Right. So. And there goes, back to the tweet that, Jonathan Hickman talking about, and Brian Michael Bendis, helped me out early on. Thanks, Dad. All that backhanded tweet that he sent out. But anyway, my bald-headed brother, Brian Michael Bendis, I'm giving you a little bald-headed love. Good job on that. But, Hickman just lays things out so well. So, and everything that he did, him and Nick Dragata, because Nick Dragata came in a little later, my favorite artist in comics. What they did with Fantastic Four was just so awesome. I literally went to a comic book shop the other day here in Sacramento, and I was reading through that Fantastic Four, and dude, I literally hit like a sequence of panels, and the boy just started tearing up next to a big stinky nerdy stranger, and I almost had to lean in a little bit to the funk. You know what I mean? I was just feeling it. But anyway, that's what I would like to see. My man Wes, what character do you want to see pop up on that slate?
Well, I've talked about it. I would love to see a Murder World Halloween special, with the arcade, but I think that's just like a dream project I don't see happening. But what I do want to see is I want to see the X-Men come into the MCU, and I think X-Men versus Avengers would be the great way to do it. They don't have any Avengers books on the slate. X-Men versus Avengers would be the perfect way to introduce their characters and really show how impressive and how powerful the mutants are. And there's a lot of source material to work with. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the new X-Men lineup. They need to be in the MCU, just like the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is going to be a lot easier to introduce because they can be out in outer space when they return. But the mutants should be on Earth, so that's going to take a little bit more time. Probably need to introduce Wolverine and some end credit scenes, maybe the new Professor X. But then put it all together. X-Men versus Avengers. That's what I want to see.
You know what? And I really like that idea because that comic series, I'm not going to call it terrible, but it was not one of my favorites. I think in this way it would redeem it. Imagine them, through Ant-Man and whatnot in the wow, seriously, am I really thinking about it? The quantum realm? Either space for the Fantastic Four or accessing how far they are in space through the quantum realm, bringing them back through there, because of course Hank Pym was around at that time when they would have been doing their thing, so he's probably well aware of Reed Richards and the rest of them. But them bringing them back through Ant-Man, them getting their story, and then through them, since they are mutates, not mutants, since they are mutates, that might signal something, and then have the X-Men come in, and then for the last event, in this slate to be like the X-Men coming in, and it is, you know, all like the Fantastic Four become a part of the Avengers, and it is the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and that whole team versus the X-Men, for that to be the end of it. And then the start of it would be where the X-Men are going forward, picking up with Jonathan Hickman's line and everything, where, you know, after this big fight
show up or something cool that they finally have to get on the same page. Absolutely. I'm with you.
Marvel, I'm just saying, me and Wes are right here. You know what I'm saying? We're taking offers, you know what I mean? Hit up our agents. We'll get back to you.
All right, Skip. This week, Batman 83 confirms Alfred's death in Batman 77 is real.
Yeah.
I already had my say regarding the demise of one of the most beloved characters in DC Comics history. Skip, what do you make of Alfred's death, and what does the character mean to you?
Oh man, dang, this is crazy. After being so excited, like a little bit of comic reality settling in. You know, this is one of the worst events, and not just Alfred's death, because that alone is serious within the Batman sphere, but how he died. How Tom King decided to take him out in such a cheap, cowardly way, so to speak. And I don't mean cowardly to Alfred the character. I mean cowardly to Ting, aka Tom King. And then I just despise how Dan Didio decides that he wants to follow it up with the one shot. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ting went and begged him like, "Hey, I did what you want. I killed Alfred. I know you like me to kill people. You like people dead." A lot of them, and important people. So I killed Alfred just like you want. But like, you know, these people are at my digital throat. They're at my digital neck. You know, can I try to double back on this a little bit? Can you give me one chance? Can you give me one shot to try to not right the wrongs, but right the wrongs, not to right the wrongs, but to but to write about the wrongs, and try to redeem himself. So you know, I can't stand the fact that, you know, it kind of would have been worse if we did find out that it was fake. Either way, they couldn't have won this one. And then what Alfred means to me, man, I mean, Alfred, you know, he was the father, you know, that honestly, the father and the mother, you know, but especially the father that, you know, Bruce didn't get an opportunity to fully experience. You know, I couldn't imagine a better person for Bruce Wayne to be left with after his parents were brutally murdered in Crime Alley, other than Alfred Pennyworth. Alfred Pennyworth is every bit of honorable, courageous, encouraging, supportive, accountable, holding Bruce accountable, not saying yes to every darn thing he says, checking him at times, challenging him. He was literally just the perfect set of arms for young Bruce Wayne to fall into, and then the perfect man to look eye to eye with as mature and older Bruce Wayne sets out on his vow to, you know, try to prevent anybody from ever experiencing something so brutal ever again. So to see the way Tom King did it was despicable. I was reading, currently reading Sean Gordon Murphy's Black Man, White Knight with my girlfriend, and
Black Man, White Knight?
Huh?
I think he said Black Man, White Knight.
Oh, I said Black Man, White Knight. That's my comic book that I'm currently writing. Batman, White Knight, with my girlfriend. And we came to the part within there, you know, spoilers, 3, 2, 1, where Alfred dies. And it was a much more courageous way. It was much more of the sacrifice, you know, the greatest showing of love that we could see, and in a much different light than what Tom King painted it in. Of course, everybody go and watch Wes's review of it if you haven't seen it yet, because he really breaks it down from someone who has dealt with a lot of suicide and sees the actual results of it. Wes, what does Alfred mean to you, and what are you? I mean, you wrapped it up in the video, but just kind of give us some cliff notes of your feelings.
Well, you know, just the way that he went out, the reason that he chose to die is because he no longer believed in Batman. He no longer believed in Bruce as his son was capable of saving him. Was just, I can't imagine, you know, giving the character a worse death. You know, he was the one that believed in Bruce from the beginning to the end. He never lost faith in his son. He always knew that the heroic nature was there. And for King to decide that he turned his back and he lost faith in him as a hero, just it doesn't sit well with me. And it certainly doesn't sit well with me that they're doing these two cash grabs, the Pennyworth RIP or Batman Pennyworth RIP one shot, and then they're doing another graphic novel celebrating Alfred Pennyworth. He deserves the graphic novel because he's a great character, but the reason that it's coming out to cash grabbing on what Tom King did to the character doesn't sit well with me either. But it sucks. It sucks. The character deserved better, and like you said, the way he went out saving his son in Curse of the White Knight is much more befitting the character and his history. Whereas, and unfortunately, that's out of continuity, and what we get in continuity is garbage. So, it's Tom King.
Out of Basura. And thank you again. That video that you had with, I forget the gentleman's name, but came in and it was talking about like that psychological
Larry
trauma.
Larry Bernard.
Dude, that video was so insightful. Like the second that you said in that video, you were going to, kind of present something to our readers in a very specific way that we don't think that it's been presented before. I was like, oh, let me hear. And then he totally satisfied, that setup that you did. So that was awesome. Anybody who hasn't gone and watched that video yet, make sure you go over and watch that video immediately. It is extremely insightful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we had a good time making that one. It was tough to get it down to 15 minutes.
it was, but it was worth every second. So go check it out. And he did say he was willing to come back. So, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and say, if there is a chance for a part 2, your boy Skip will be in there hitting that like button.
Awesome.
And I know we're getting close to the end. Did you want to hit the last question? And I'll tell you, I don't really have much of an opinion on it, so I can.
Oh, I got an opinion. I'll make it short.
Well, then here we go. Amazon's Lord of the Rings hasn't even started, but the streaming service, Amazon, has already picked up the series for a second season. Wes, is Amazon making the right move?
Oh, I sure hope so. I'm super excited. So I actually have Amazon. I don't get to watch a lot of the shows everyone talks about because I'm in the Philippines. My cable's not all great. I can watch Watchmen, and that's about it. So, having Lord of the Rings come to Amazon, for them to pick it up for a second season before even releasing the very first episode tells me that the quality is there, the storytelling is there, the acting is probably top notch, and I couldn't be more excited. I love Lord of the Rings. It's my second favorite trilogy, right after Star Wars and right ahead of Indiana Jones. So I cannot wait to see the actual scripted television show on Amazon, and I will definitely be there watching it every single week. And I think it's a great move. People love it. Lord of the Rings, probably would have been better if it happened 15 years ago, but it didn't have streaming services really then.
This is true. These are the facts. I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings series very much. I can't call myself a huge fan, but I am a Lord of these rings. So I'll go ahead and I'll present you guys that. And this one's for my bald-headed brother Brian Michael Bendis, because everybody is loving what he's doing at Legion of Superheroes. You know what? I really appreciate. I'm forgetting his name. What is the fella's name? The guy who's behind it all.
Tolkien. Tolkien.
Oh, no, not Tolkien, not the original writer, but the one who produced all of the movies and everything. Peter Jackson, right?
Yes.
I just appreciate his storytelling as a filmmaker. I appreciate his ambitions, like ideas and views. And I know everybody tripped out over the 60 frames or whatever when they saw that. And me as a video editor, guy who's been in video for over 15 years, I even appreciated him being bold enough to break the convention of 24 frames within cinema and to increase the frame rate just to kind of give a different vibe on things. So I thought that was really cool. Wes, I didn't know that you were into it so much. So now I at least have to give episode 1 a look. So that might be something that we look over. Actually, Wes,
we're not going to look over. We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. And Wes, what I was going to say is we might even have to talk about it over on our Twitch channel, which I will be getting in there and doing the streaming as soon as I feel well. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good. So after this, I may or may not be over there. Keep an eye out on social media. If you're in the Discord, keep an eye out in there as well. And Wes, how are we putting a bow on this thing? Well,
join the Discord server. We have a lot of fun there. We do talk about lots of stuff. There's also a link to our Coffee page if you'd like to help support the channel. We do have some bills coming up. We've got some video and editing software, and we do have plans for expansion in 2020, and I think you're all going to be very excited for, and I know we're very excited. And did you have one last thing to say about your chair?
Yeah, Tabu Ohana is my our gaming chair sponsor. So if you're looking for an office chair or a gaming chair, very professional looking. They have an orphans outreach that they do out in actually it was Vietnam. I said Thailand last time. It's Vietnam. I am very sorry about that. Out in Vietnam, we just raised a bunch of money for orphans out there. So my commission goes directly back to the orphans. So if you're looking to support people in need, as there are many people out there, and get yourself a really awesome gaming chair, office chair, because they are very professional looking, just consider Tabu Ohana, and you can find the links by just contacting me, or they might be in the video. Who knows? But thank you so much for your consideration. And we have Wes already talked about the coffee channel. So yeah, if you want a one-time donation, ongoing donation, $1 helps. $100 is fantastic. $1,000, I might fly over to your house and hang out with you and read a comic book with you. Who knows?
Nice. Also, if you were watching this and you saw him put his hands up and you recognize that Green Lantern cover, kudos to you. It was great. It's when Hal Jordan looks insane and he's got all the rings. And that was definitely on accident. He's probably never read that comic. Thank you all so much for joining us today on geek-span, and we'll talk to you.